So you've probably heard the term lazy eye, right? Well, the real name for it is amblyopia, and honestly, it's this super interesting puzzle of vision. Today, we're going to piece together exactly what it is and, get this, why the problem isn't really about the eye at all.
All right, let's jump right into the big mystery here. Picture this. You go to the eye doctor, you get what should be the perfect pair of glasses, but one of your eyes still can't see clearly. How does that even happen? Well, that question right there, that's the heart of what amblyopia is all about.
So what's really going on here? You know, the term lazy eye is, well, it's kind of misleading. The problem isn't that the eye itself is lazy or weak. The real story is way more interesting, and it all happens up in the brain.
Okay, so the official definition is basically this. Amblyopia is when vision is reduced because the eye and the brain just aren't working together properly. The eye itself can be totally healthy, but the brain simply isn't seeing the information it's being sent.
And this is the key takeaway, right here. Amblyopia isn't an eye problem, it's a brain problem. It's an issue of communication. Think of it like a bad phone connection that creates this big misunderstanding between the eye and the brain's vision center.
Here's the core of the issue. A healthy eye, it sends a nice, crisp, clear image to the brain. But the amblyopic eye, well, it's sending a consistently blurry or distorted picture. So now the brain is getting two totally different messages at the exact same time.
So it all comes down to the wiring, the neural pathways, the very connections that are supposed to carry all that visual information from the eye to the brain. They just haven't developed correctly for that one eye.
So what's a brain to do when it gets one beautiful, clear picture and one blurry mess? Well, it does the most logical thing possible. It says, yeah, I'll take the clear one, thanks. And it just starts to actively ignore the blurry signal. And over time, by ignoring that eye, that connection, it just withers. The pathway never gets strong.
But you might be wondering, why doesn't this happen to adults? Great question. It's because this whole thing is tied to a really specific, really critical window of time, our early childhood. When it comes to our vision, timing is absolutely everything.
It's wild, but seeing isn't something we're just born knowing how to do. Our brain actually has to learn to see, building up those neural pathways throughout our early years. There's this crucial window where the brain is super flexible, making all these connections. The good news? That's also the window where we can step in and actually fix the problem.
Now, you might think this is some kind of rare issue, but take a look at this number, 1. It represents something pretty shocking about the impact of this condition.
That's right. Amblyopia is the single most common cause of vision loss in children. It's not injuries, it's not some rare disease. It's this developmental disconnect between an eye and the brain. And that is why early screening is so incredibly important.
Okay, so if this is a developmental issue that happens during a specific window, what happens next? Well, what we do or don't do during that time can create two very different futures.
And listen, the stakes here are really, really high. This quote lays it out plainly. If the brain learns to ignore an eye during that critical childhood window, and we don't intervene, that vision loss can become permanent. The brain's wiring just gets locked in.
But here's the really hopeful message. While the untreated path leads to a stark outcome, if it's caught and treated in childhood, often with things like eye patches or special glasses that force the brain to pay attention to the weaker eye, the vision can often be fully restored. We can literally retrain the brain.
And that, I think, is the real takeaway here. The story of amblyopia is a powerful reminder of the brain's incredible plasticity. I mean, if our brain can learn to essentially turn off an eye based on early input, it makes you wonder, right? What else is it learning and reinforcing in those first few years? It shows just how powerful our earliest experiences are in wiring us for life. Thanks for tuning in.